Hello, Retro here. I want to talk about a bit Ancient Inheritance, since this is a very important guild event. I'll explain what it is, what we get out of it, and how to play it. In Ancient Inheritance, the guild is clearing a dungeon together and get a ton of upgrade materials and a full level 88 set. Every wave has a certain amount of wardens to protect the way to the boss. Once we kill the floor boss, we get a gear piece and unlock the next floor. This is the set that we can get. Two of the pieces need to be bought in an event shop. The other four get dropped by the four floor bosses. In Season 5, we get Injury Death set. The Injury set has good stats for units like Alencia and Bellion, depending on the roles. The Death set can work as offset pieces, also, of course, depending on the role. But generally, they look pretty interesting, so we should try to get all the pieces right. So stats in Ancient Inheritance work totally different. Your stats don't come from items, instead you get a currency in the run to level up the different classes. So the bosses get really hard and you need to micromanage quite hard to perform well, so it is highly advised to just pick two roles. The by far best option is to level warriors and soul reavers. Later I'll also show some team comps. So, but what if you don't have that many units built? It's no problem, because the stats on your gear are completely irrelevant. On the screen you see my Camilla. She's not even leveled up. In Ancient Inheritance, every unit is 6-star, full awakened with all skill ups. On specialty units, you also have this tree leveled. The only thing that matters is the gear set and the artifact. So just give every unit some fodder gear and the sets you like. Notice that crit damage set and crit rate set aren't that good, because you get capped later once your class level is high enough. Since we can get more rewards the faster we clear all the floors, it is important to be as efficient as possible. To reach that, me or another officer will keep you up to date on how we move or what our next target will be. So please don't do random stuff. Follow to the game plan. Everyone is profiting then. We won't attack any mobs, so to get XP and relics, we need a lot of objectives. The one on the screen are the important ones. From left to right, it's Tome of Knowledge that grants XP. Relic chests, they will show 3 relics and then you can choose one. The Unknown Scrolls will have a random event, both positive and negative. And I would say we should just collect them if we are good in time. Sanctions will give you a level up in the class it shows. And campsites will give you provisions. Provisions are like the energy in this mode. Every move, interaction, or fight costs provisions, so don't just randomly walk around. So, and what are relics? You can equip a certain amount of relics depending on your dungeon level. Some items have charges and can be used up, some just give you a permanent effect. Generally, you should aim for the relics that upgrade your classes by 1 or 2 levels as first prio. Then relics that give you energy, or relics that give you more XP or currency looting by looting or walking. Note that we don't kill normal enemies, so items related to that are basically useless to us. So let's go to the team planning. We can just recruit a limited amount of units for Ancient Inheritance. The amount rises with all level. Also, you can just use a character in a fight once per day. So we should be also efficient there and plan some teams before just picking random units. I talked with some guild members and we all came to the conclusion that a good team has an attack buffer, a death breaker, a DPS, and a dual attacker or a good pusher. So you need to know that passives won't work in most of the fights, so units that sounds like nice like a Ravi won't work there. Also, don't forget that we have limited control over the stats, so units that normally have a special build won't work either. On the screen I listed some units filling one or more categories I used in the last season, or I'm going to use now. So, to give you some examples of what works, I first show you the 3 teams I performed the best with. The first team requires an Awakened Helga, but if you have her, she's good in Earth-only comms. Alencia was the Deathbreaker and could also do a good amount of damage, even without her passive. Helga gives the team buffs, and Lords is pushing my DPS while also healing a bit. Second team, I use Secret as my DPS. Just for Ancient Inheritance, I give her Rage Pencil, so she reaches insane amounts of damage. My Kitty is Dual Attacker. Tarana Guard is just pressing S1 for the death breaks, and Emilia is the pusher while keeping the team alive. On the third team, I used Mascot Hazel to give Thermia a greater attack buff. Together with Camilla, the DPS is basically insane. Ken is also a very, very good damage dealing unit and Deathbreaker, so it's probably one of the best units you can pick in Ancient Inheritance. So, in case you have these units, you should consider using them in one team. I couldn't use it last time, sadly, so I can't say how good it will perform, but it should perform like the best way possible. You have Handguy as attack buffer and breaker, which lets your team be alive long enough to do a good amount of damage. Shu can deathpan through the boss, while Conk is not just providing dual attacks, but also vigor buff for the team. Clarissa can constantly hit death breaks. There are some wardens or bosses with several enemies where you need AoE, lamp guards for example. So for that I also give you 2 teams. In the first team, Clarissa can do AoE death breaks and also clear the mobs with her passive. Batiste is the second best character in AI, so do not underestimate him. In the second team, we have Free Spirit Tyria and Euphine for Rave Clear. Kawazu is the single target DPS here. He can also do a lot of damage. DN is for pushing and yeah, good AoE heals. So yeah, that's it for me. If you should have any questions, feel free to ask in the Discord channel. Have a good one and see you in the dungeon.